I grew up in Williamsburg. We moved to Borough Park just as I was going to seminary. As a 14-year-old, my pediatrician was concerned that I wasn't developing properly. And another interesting part was that I don't have a sense of smell. And what came up was something called Kallmann syndrome. It's really uncommon. It did become very shameful, and the shame became a part of me.
So I grew up in a borough park. I'm the youngest of 8.
And what was Shidduchim like for you?
It was very difficult because I was a working boy. I met her, and
Even though she had a kid,
even though she had a kid, within 5 minutes, I knew this is the one. I flew out from the impact. It was a tractor trailer. So from the impact, my car smashed and I flew out of the window 50 feet.
I learned that two feelings can coexist. There can be the frustration, the anger, and then there could also be the gratitude that he's here. It's not a contradiction.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Stories of Hope podcast, and happy fall, if I do say so myself. I'm really excited and grateful to share Chaya and Shmily's story today, a Chasidic couple who has experienced so much challenge and yet so much growth. So honest. This couple really, really moved me. I've learned so much, and I'm so grateful to their bravery for coming on and stripping away any layers. We talk about Prozac. We talk about marital conflict. We talk about labels, changing the system, and really just hoping for an entirely new process on navigating Shidduchim, because it doesn't have to be so hard. So Shmily and Chaya, I'm so grateful, and I'm so excited to share them with you. And of course, before starting, I want to welcome you. At this point, guys, you have the app. And if you don't have the app, the Colel, Chabad, Tzedaka, Pushka app, it's after Rosh Hashanah. How can you justify not having easy access to making an impact in someone's life on your phone? And it's free. And I want to tell you something. When I give Tzedaka, there's options. You can give $10, $5, or you can personalize it to 18 cents. It's so easy to make a difference and enrich someone's life and bring more blessing into your day. So here we go. I hope you joined me. And if you didn't, then please download the app and really elevate your phone. Really elevate your phone and make a difference in your life and the lives of others. So get ready for another special episode of Stories of Hope. Hi, I'm Tzipora Grodko, and this is the Stories of Hope podcast. So exciting. Chaya and Shmily, welcome to our studio.
Same here.
As I mentioned, you're on Hasidic time, so you're on time. I just didn't get the memo, so I'm unprepared. But I'm so grateful because I know that what we're going to cover today is different than anything we've done. And my goal is always to bring to the table something new, because your story is something that maybe hundreds or thousands of people listening can relate to. I know you were recently featured in the Ami magazine, and it's an honor to have you in our Stories of Hope studio. So welcome. And Chaya, we'll start with you. Give us a little peek into your background and tell us what your life was like before you met Shmily.
Okay, thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here today. It's our honor and pleasure.
Yeah, that is.
So I grew up in Williamsburg. We moved to Borough Park just as I was going to seminary. And as a 14-year-old, my pediatrician was concerned that I wasn't developing properly. And my mother didn't, take it so seriously, but he definitely was concerned. And another interesting part was that I don't have a sense of smell. We discovered that only. So my mother, she's awesome. She Googled delayed puberty with no sense of smell. And what came up was something called Kallmann syndrome. I'm on a Facebook group with people all over the world. It's really uncommon.
Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Yes. Basically what happens is that the body doesn't go through puberty on its own. so what happened was my doctor, gave me the estrogen to help develop my body. Medicine is fascinating. And then they told me eventually when I want to have a baby, I'll have to do treatment.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't sound so scary because it was, I knew that, I had a uterus and like the big things were there. Like I like to think of it like the battery was broken, everything else was there. So when I was 17, my parents got divorced. So it was another thing against me in Tzedaka. And my Rav told me to only say after a couple dates about the Kallmann syndrome. And, shidduch after shidduch just fell through.
Because of that?
Because of that, yes. They were too scared. I actually had someone who I allowed them to speak to my doctor, and they still were too scared.
What was it like for you, dating someone and then hearing them say no to you for something that you didn't choose or feel is not a summary of who you are?
Correct. Honestly, I did. It did become very shameful, and the shame became a part of me. It did. And then when I met my first husband, I was told, don't tell him. Regret it, worst decision ever. But that's what we did. Turns out that I ended up needing IVF. So again, really a lot of shame. Yeah.
Living with shame while navigating shidduchim.
Yeah. And really believing that, if I leave, no one's going to take me. Like really internalizing that. So yeah, that's what happened. You want me to continue?
So I'll pause you there. Thank you so much for sharing. I know that it's not easy. People listening are like, wow, okay, this is Chaya's story, and it's Chaya's entire life. It's her pain, it's her struggle, it's her challenge, it's her heart and soul that's no longer hidden out in the public for the sake of meeting those who are also feeling very hidden and alone. And so I just want to commend you and say thank you for coming on. I want to ask you before we go to Shmily, is that common in the Chasidic community to hide a diagnosis during shidduchim?
I think so. And I think today it's a good decade down the line. I think we're more educated and people know that I hope so. But I do think it would have happened today. Hopefully this wouldn't, I would have, it was meant to happen, right?
Yeah. It's hard to understand like why things happen the way they happen.
Yeah.
Because we can't understand.
Sure.
But I always believe that any person who played a part in our story has a sense of responsibility. So if things were to happen, maybe you weren't going to be the protagonist. Maybe you were going to be the protector. Maybe you were going to be the supporter, not the defender. So everyone has a sense of responsibility. And especially in your story, I don't want them to have an easy way out. I'm feeling overprotective of you. And why might someone think it's a good idea to completely hide something completely in shidduchim if it's going to come up in the relationship anyway?
Yeah. I also, to answer that also, I was not aware that I would need to do IVF. I thought I would just, there are different levels of treatment, and I didn't think it would be that significant, but still, yeah, not a good idea.
Hard. Wow.
Yeah.
And very hard. Thank you for sharing. We'll pause you here. Shmily, can you take us a little bit into your world and background before you met Chaya?
Sure. So I grew up in Borough Park, Brooklyn. I'm the youngest of 8. So I had it a little better than my siblings.
Quick question. Is
Sure.
8 considered a small family, a medium family, or a large family?
So to me, it looks like a larger family. But that, I mean, percentage-wise, I would say in the Hasidic community, that's like totally normal, or that's even little,
Oh.
you know? So,
So fascinating. Okay.
yeah. So I learned, I learned first in Satmar, that was around the corner from my house. And then my parents switched me to Visionitz, which is also in Borough Park. And for some reason, they thought I'm going to do better over there. I'm sure there was a reason, because there's a reason for everything. Yeah, that's basically that.
And what was shidduchim like for you?
It was very difficult because I was a working boy. I had mano when I was around 15 or 16.
Mm-hmm.
I had it pretty bad, and I had to really, I was sleeping most of the day. And once that healed, I don't remember the exact timing, but let's say close to a year, I wasn't going to go back to yeshiva because that wasn't my thing. The way I was brought up and the younger grades weren't I would never go back there.
Mm-hmm.
So I just went, my brother-in-law really helped me. He's a malamed. So he took me in to learn with the younger kids. And from there, he found my first job. And I was a very, very settled boy. I davened every day 3 times. I had a shear, and I was, and once it came to shidduchim, I turned 18, 19, 20, and nothing was read. So if I remember correctly, it was at 21, some shadchan called and mentioned some name and just go out. So I went out, and, I never met, I never sat with a girl before. So I said, let's get married. Let's play house. So that was that.
And you mentioned I was working, so shidduchim was very hard for me.
Right.
Is a working guy held in a lower value than a learning guy in the Hasidic community?
100%. And it's so frustrating. And I just look back and I look at other people, trying to look for the same thing, and they're basically going blindly because that's what they teach in school. You got to take a learning boy, and although you want to go 2-3 weeks after the wedding, you want to go to Zara, Macy's, whatever it is, you want to go shopping, you need money, but I have a learning boy. So officially, I don't believe that there's even 1% in the Hasidic community that really means it by heart, that they want a learning boy. I'll discuss it with my wife, and she said 5%. So I always give it up to my wife. She wants the 5%, leave it as 5%. But that's also a very small percent.
And what makes you feel like that's really what they want, if most people are doing the opposite?
Because that's the part of just growing up in the Hasidic community. It's basically, let's say this guy is learning. But I know a lot of guys, but basically, for example, they're Mir yeshiva, yeah, and they never stepped into that building even, but they're a Mir, and they do shidduchim. And I know a couple of stories, and they get divorced within a few months. I don't want to pinpoint it that it's that, but for some reason, they're way more open-minded than the girls, and it just doesn't work out for a reason. So for those people that really mean it, I really give it up. Yeah. But I do think it's a really small percent, and I think that people need to wake up and just do the right thing.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, in every community, there's this expectation of what the perfect shidduch looks like.
Right.
Who made that standard? I don't know, because if you look in the Torah, Moshe was a shepherd, Yosef was a ruler.
Exactly.
You look at all of our leaders, they were working.
Right.
They were busy working. And to be able to be a masmid and spend the day learning, we assume that this should be the norm. I would imagine, very far from that it's extremely difficult. And I would imagine that maybe many people want to do it, but not everyone has the capacity to do it. And if someone believes that if I assume this identity, I will get the right girl, then that girl that wants that identity or thinks she wants it, because that's a whole nother category, isn't even getting the guy that she wants. And so when everyone steps into this role of sheker, where we're not even being honest, and the goal isn't to get married, but to stay happily married, then the standard we're setting up isn't setting people up for relational success.
Right.
And so what would happen if people felt confident, like you did, to make choices that reflect their value, their standard, and not thinking it compromises their worth? Because that's so sad. Even as you shared, like, I was working, so it was harder. I'm thinking, you are being brave to come on this podcast. I've spoken to your wife so much. I haven't had the pleasure of getting to know you. Like, mamish leaders in Klal Yisrael, chaval that this label makes someone think, well, I'm less than.
True.
And I appreciate you coming on, and I hope that everyone listening can start to question, why do I have these labels? Why do I give them value? And if you're a matchmaker or a mentor, you have some form of influence, you are giving value to these standards. So collectively, we need to look back at our roots and see what our leaders did.
100%. I agree with that.
And so it sounds like, did you have a basho?
So the first time I went out like once or twice, let's go. That's it. And it wasn't the best experience. But again, I think everything has a time and place, and that was meant for me in order to grow. Because from every situation, you need to take out the positive and see,
of course,
where it brought me.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I think that the show is beautiful. I don't know much about it. And I think that it has to work for the right person.
True.
It has to work for the right person.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you mentioned, I didn't really know better.
Right.
So you're divorced and Chaya's divorced. How did the two of you connect? Actually, I'm going to go back. Before I share anything about that, it's not really my place to share what I know about Basho or how I feel, because I have no personal connection to it. Is there anything that the two of you want to share that you think is significant in your experience for anyone Hasidic that might be listening that engages in a Basho? Is there any opinion you have respectfully that you think is important to share with the community?
So what I'll say is I happens to be with my first husband. We did go to a hotel, which I definitely found. I think people should go out. I think there's a lot of people do this, but I'll just put it out there: the in between of dating, but not dating too long. Meaning, you have a date where a guy and a girl go out and they're stuck for 3 hours no matter what. Here, it's like, if it works, fine. If it doesn't, more, because we were at the hotel, but so were his parents and my parents. So I like that setup, actually.
That you weren't in a home, but you were more in this, maybe fun, lighter setting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for sharing.
I happen to agree with my wife. So let's say if they would ask me, it's very difficult to change a official custom in the Hamish community. So let's say if you want to do Basho and you look at dating abnormal. So what I would do is the first do a Basho, and let's say you want to go out again, you want to do another Basho, I would just take it to dating. Let's say go to a hotel, go to a park, and just let them act like grown-ups and make their own decisions. And I think, I'm not saying the majority, but a lot of people, when they go on Bashos, their parents are they have ready the l'chaim outside, and they want to just do the shidduch because it's good for our name or blah, blah, But, hey, give a chance with the guy and girl just to figure out, is this who I want to live with my whole life? And so, again, I'm not saying that Basho is not a good thing. And I know, from people that went out 10 times on dates and it went wrong. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't mean that dates are better, But I think the best way how it could work is just do a bisho and then just go out.
Mm-hmm. So I'm hearing you say that the dater should ask themselves, how do I feel?
Right.
And to feel safe to say, wait, maybe I'm not ready.
Right.
Maybe I need more time.
Right.
And so for any parents listening or siblings, etc., maybe don't plan the l'chaim yet.
Exactly.
Maybe make sure that this person is confident as best as they can be with what they know. So that again, it's only setting the person up for success.
True. So I know from my family, my father just told me the story a few months ago. Basically one of my brothers basically went on first bisho and the second bisho. They were basically the other side went over to my father, so we could just brech teller now. And my father said, "Let's wait till tomorrow." And they were pushing him, "Let's do it tonight. Let's finish it." And they didn't end up doing the shidduch. My father said he has a very strong sense of things, and I guess I take it from there. That's why I married my wife. We'll get to that soon. So my point is, like, for parents, that it's your kid, true, and you could have a say, right? But don't force your kids into going out with this girl or the opposite because it's good for your name. That guy has money. It's like whatever the thing is. And I know people like that. It's basically, it's your kid. And if you really mean the good for your kid, you just let them make the decision. Of course, you can have a say and talk to your kid about it. But why push them into something that unconscious, it's not going to work?
Oof. Yeah. And my question is, why would there be so much pressure to, so to speak, like close the deal with urgency?
Right.
It's not a sale. It's
True.
A lifetime relationship.
I so agree.
Why is there so much urgency?
Because I think, for example, let's say the bisho thing, right?
And sorry to interrupt you. I want to make sure to make a big disclaimer that we're learning from your experience.
Right.
We're not speaking from a generalized critical experience.
True.
Chasidic culture is so cool.
Very beautiful.
It's so beautiful. I think most of the Chesed organizations are founded from the Chasidic community.
100%.
We're just trying to learn from your experience. And if we always talk about all the positive things in every story, then there's no impact for change.
Right.
So I want to clarify that because I don't want it to sound disrespectful.
Right. And just to throw something even positive, like something positive about the Hasidic community is like the Chesed. That's basically Mikam Yisrael. It's unbelievable. I was in an accident. We'll talk about it soon. Like a few years ago, and what they've done, like for me, it's unbelievable. Things that I've heard afterwards, like the organization Chaya Medical and Refuah, they basically send suppers for my wife. You name it. And it's basically, I went to a doctor for one of my checkups and we got into conversation like how my wife managed, which I really give it up to her. Now that my brain is like slowly is getting back, is basically I really give it up to her. It's unbelievable. I don't know.
Suppers was actually kapayim.
Oh, okay, good. You see, even kapayim, it's unbelievable.
Wow.
And this doctor told me, like, he was fascinated about it. He said, like, I'm a doctor. I'm in the medical field for years already. I've never heard about this. And it's just, why would they do it for you? I said, this is our nation. This is the Jewish nation. We don't look at Chavayrim and all these. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of good in everything. Just we're talking about my experience about Bisho and what I think about it. So I'm just saying my opinion.
Thank you.
Everyone should do whatever works for them.
Of course. And I so appreciate you sharing.
Sure.
So I think, correct me if I'm wrong. And then I would love to jump into how the two of you met. We'll close with this idea that maybe there's this sense of urgency because there's so much fear of maybe my child's not going to get a good shidduch, or there's this pressure that now they're in shidduchim, so it should happen right away.
Right.
And if it's not happening right away, oh no. And I would imagine the pressure is rooted in this good intention of, just want my child to be happy.
Right.
Or unfortunately, it could be influenced by perverted pressure of
Right.
we just want to check off this box.
Exactly.
And so we want to encourage everyone to remember what the goal is.
Right.
Is the goal to be accepted? Is the goal to seem like you made it? Or is the goal for
Right.
my child to be happy? And we'll close it at that.
Right.
Does that sound
Yes.
accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to add,
Please.
I think the idea of the show is amazing. The idea that you really research, you trust the parents to research. I think that part's amazing. We just need to modernize it a little bit with our times, you know?
Right.
Well said.
Yeah.
Thank you. So how did the two of you meet?
Okay, so I'll start.
Sure.
So I had moved to Muncie from Lakewood. I was living in Lakewood with my son, and while we were, settling everything, we just needed to find a place. My son's father was living in Brooklyn, and I was living in Lakewood, and it just was not working out. I was traveling a lot. The kid was traveling a lot. It just didn't make any sense. So I said, okay, so you have family in Muncie. I'll come to Muncie. And I settled here in Muncie, and I dated for about a year. And I was frustrated. I decided to take the time to do something I love. I took a break and I opened the Community Connections, and I was looking for music. I decided I want to pursue, I had done piano lessons a while back, and I said, this is the time. In fact, it's fascinating that the musical part of me, I didn't even know that I was able to play music by ear. I found out only recently, right after, I was doing a lot of work and I was in therapy, and I was getting in touch with myself. And it was fascinating. So that's when I decided I want to do piano lessons. So the first ad I saw, I called the number, and she asked me, what's your name? By the way, I'm a shadchan. She's going back the next day. She wants more information. She thinks she has a very good shidduch for me. Her cousin, Shmily Morgenstern.
You were looking for piano lessons, and meanwhile, she was like, I think I have a shidduch for my cousin.
So I looked him up online. She said he sings, so it went very nicely with the music. And I think people who are musical are usually artistic and sensitive. Like, there's just a lot in common. And I waited to hear back, and I'll hand it over to Shmily.
It was like a time I was dating like a good few girls. I don't remember, like 6, 7, 8. And I was frustrated. I was like, no, this is not good, good. Like, I was like, there's nobody really normal out there. So I told myself, I'm going to take a break. So as my wife said, I'm a singer. So basically, I'll remember where I remember where I stood. It was on Monroe, and I was about to go into the studio, and I get a call from my cousin. She's a shadchante, and she told me, Shmily, you have the perfect girl, and blah, blah. I said, I know this speech, but listen, I appreciate you calling me, but give me a month and just follow up. So I remember I put it into my calendar that I told her she's gonna call. And fine, a month later, she calls me. She tells me, listen, I understand, even if it's not gonna work out, I'm trying for you. Do me this favor, I'm your cousin. Go out. So I live then in Brooklyn, and I have 2 brothers in Muncie. So I figured, when can I do it? So I'll do it on Friday, and I'll stay here for Shabbos. So on the way, I was like, okay, I'm going to meet another girl. Fine. I'm just doing her a favor, And basically, I remember still when I parked the car and I just met her. Within 5 minutes, I knew this is the one. And I'll add even more that I've told so many people, shadchanim or random people that tried helping me, like, I don't want anyone with kids. I was married for just a few weeks, why should I take someone with a kid? It's another, like, what? And she sent me her resume, and I was just, I was like, it didn't talk to me. Like, just because I don't hold from it, people send pictures. And I'm like, happens to be now that I look at it, I'm against it just because meet that person. You have no clue, from a picture you can't see a lot. Maybe it's a bad angle. You don't know. So I met her, and
even though she had a kid,
and it just, and if it clicks, if Hashem wants you to just marry that person, it's gonna happen.
I love that.
Yeah. And just, it worked.
Wow. So even though you said absolutely no one with a kid,
Right.
and I'm on a break and I don't want to date anyone.
Right.
From looking for piano lessons to defying all of your rules, the two of you end up together married.
Exactly.
You have to check out Pizza Biza, making fresh hot pizzas on the spot by their professional chefs, indoor or outdoor in their pizza ovens, meat or dairy, plus full catering around the tri-state area and Florida. Specializing in events with several hundred people with no lines. You heard right. Full menu. You have to check them out on Instagram at Pizza Biza and visit them at pizzabiza.com. Pizza's my favorite food, so please invite me, Pizza Biza, on Instagram, and check them out at pizzabiza.com. These are the people you want to call. Pizza Biza, I'll see you at my next event. And when you met Shmily, did you have a gut feeling too?
So I had that gut feeling when I actually looked him up online and I saw him singing in the video. I was able to tell like a lot. And yeah, I definitely had a gut feeling. I also want to add the actual dating process. We're both really real people. So I just want to say, be real. Be real. Don't, pretend that you don't need food, or just be yourself. Maybe I'm a little extreme. Like I traveled in from Muncie and I got to Brooklyn and I actually said, oh, I'm hungry. Maybe we should go out to eat. Like that's already extreme, but he loved it.
Yeah, she mentioned to me a few times. I say, why not? I went through enough in my life. I mean, and I just see it, just be yourself, nothing to hide. Because if you want to marry this person, you're going to be real in the marriage, hopefully. Yeah. So just be real before.
And people forget that.
True.
You're trying to be someone else that's a different version of who the person will never meet.
Exactly. Yeah. Just you want to buy them off by being fake.
Yeah.
But people are smarter than that.
Yeah.
And for some reason, after like a couple of days, oh no, it's not gonna work, and both people are frustrated.
It's so complex, and there's so many layers. I remember. I mean, people don't really ask me for my picture now because it's like blasted all over the internet.
Yeah.
But back in the day, before the podcast, when matchmakers would say, send me a picture of you, I'd send them a picture.
Right.
And I remember many times, and it was a more casual picture. I'm a more casual person. They would say, well, do you have one of you at a wedding? And I would say, like, one where like once a year, that's what I look like, not most of my life. I'm not comfortable sending.
Right.
And they would argue, you have to send your best picture. And I would say, but this is what my face looks like. And if he doesn't like my face, that's okay.
Exactly.
It still looks like that. So
true.
When it comes to your character and your interests and your insecurities and your weaknesses, of course, if there's a product, you want to sell it in an attractive way.
True.
So you want to present yourself with dignity.
Right.
But don't feel shameful. Don't hide.
Right.
Don't pretend because it's not sustainable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it won't lead to the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I sent a picture actually of myself pushing my son at his upsharon in Miron. And something you say you didn't like it or something. It didn't matter because at the end of the day, he wanted to meet me and the picture didn't matter. So,
Yeah. And she so basically, meanwhile it was mentioned, like she really wanted to go out. I think it was before. And basically she has sent our cousin my video. She wanted to buy me off. Wow, Shmily singing nice or whatever. But I didn't go out for that, So yeah, just give it a try, and I keep on telling people, even I sang by organization for divorcees, and I told them my story. And some of them really liked it. They came over to me saying, "Wow, you have guts to share." And I said, I want to help people. And for all these people that are listening to the podcast, if you need like chizik or, you can reach out to me.
So kind.
It's like so many people really need the chizik and or guidance. And I, at my age, what I went through, and just from my experience, I could just,
it's very generous of you. I think a lot of people pretend that they're okay,
right,
and believe that if they experience pain and struggle, then the most flattering way to present themselves is by being okay with what happened and by coping through everything with like positive spirituality and confidence that now I'm great. And it doesn't work because that's not human nature. And part of the foundation of our podcast is being real, normalizing pain, letting go of all of the so many layers, like fur coats that we've covered ourselves with. Because if you think about it, there's so much content out there in the world that's inspiring, that's motivating, and there's so much challenge and there's so much brokenness. What's not working?
Yeah.
You think, don't we have enough out there? And I wonder if like we just need more honest content. I need chizuk. Many times I need chizuk.
Right.
All the time, daily.
Yeah.
I could use chizuk. And so for you to say like, I'm here, I've been there, I'm ready. It's just so generous of you. It's why we have you on our podcast, and we'll include your contact information in the show notes so that people can reach out. And I know that this is, just a small part of your story. And I want to ask you what happened in the next chapter that people aren't so familiar with. Right. Who would like to start?
So before we do the next chapter, I'm just going to finish off with the dating.
Yeah.
So I remember now that the reason I was so frustrated with dating was because I had dated someone else a couple of dates. And when I told them about Kallmann syndrome, they dropped me. And this time I decided I'm telling them on the second date. I don't care. No, I had made that up. Like the other guy, I think it was our second date. And I still remember we were at the Palisades Mall. And was it date number 2? I think so.
2 or 3.
3, somewhere over there. And he said something like, "You're perfect." And I said, "Well, you think so, but really I'm not." And I chose to share it with him. And Hashem was so good to me, and he was so good to me. He looked into it and came back saying, "I'm in."
What was your reaction when you heard Chaya share?
Yes. So let's say for a guy just out of yeshiva, I'm just hearing that somebody else has A, B, C, D, F, G, doesn't matter what kind of, because to be honest, everyone has something. Mm-hmm. I'll just say this small, it's a joke, but it's true. Somebody went to he's a Rav, and basically went before his son was in Shidduchim, and he said his son needs to take some, Prozac or whatever it is. And he asked the Rav guidance. So he said, "Listen, I'm in the medical field for years. 80% of the people take medication. The remainder of the 20% need to take. So it's very normal. There's nothing to hide.
Yes.
Yes. So for people having something, or it's very normal. So people could look at what my wife just said, that I said, "You're perfect." I really meant it. It wasn't just, a game where I wanted to get her. Or I just said it because I sat there and it was the middle of the conversation, and she mentioned it, and I felt this connection that she's real. And and I just, people sometimes they basically lower themselves because they have something, or, and that they're hiding, or whatever it is, and they just knock themselves down. And it's, God gave it to you, and it must be that it's good for you.
If God gave it to you, then it must be that it is perfect for you.
True.
So well said. And it's so sad that we feel so insecure about the challenge Hashem gave us that's perfectly tailor-made for us.
Right.
And our understanding of perfection is it's foolish.
Yeah.
Because perfection doesn't mean I'm denied of any insecurity, of any flaw, of any imperfection. Perfection, probably from a Jewish standpoint, means I accept and welcome all that Hashem made me, and I'm okay with that.
Right.
It's so beautiful. It's so important for any men who maybe look at a woman or a person and say like, oh, well, those are their flaws, their chisronos.
Right.
Thank you. They're flawed. Like let's change. It's a part of the person.
True.
It's a part of their beautiful makeup. We say that in the beginning of davening. We say Elokai neshama shenasata bi tohorahi atavra asa atayitzarta.
Right.
And it seems like it's superfluous. One is you created me and you fashioned me.
Right.
And Rav Schwab on prayer says that we're saying, God, you created me with my insecurities and my weaknesses, and you fashioned me perfectly. I am perfect because you are the perfect artist. And imagine how we'd all feel if we believe that about ourselves, about our spouse, about our friends. You know, it's funny as you're speaking and we're talking about being accepting, and I'm sharing because I'm getting very passionate. What I'm thinking of is I don't know if I should say this. I received an email from someone, a few, saying, "Hi, Tzipora. I love your podcast, but more and more recently, I feel like you've been talking a lot. And I really don't want to hear from you. I want to hear from your guests. So please refrain from speaking so much." And, you know, as you're talking and I'm trying to navigate our goal, I'm thinking, maybe I shouldn't speak. And I share this with transparency because it's the human experience.
100%.
We all struggle. We all have our internal
Everyone
conflict.
has a story.
And we can't grow if there's no friction for struggle.
100%.
So with humility, I share that, and I hope it gave you all giggles and laughs. And if you agree, then that's okay. You're allowed to. So, okay, we're going to jump in. I want to ask before we jump in, I guess we're not jumping in yet. How old were the two of you when you got married to each other?
Oh, that's a good question.
So I gotta go back, and math is not my thing.
Neither.
So I can't.
I was 27 and he was 26.
Okay.
I'm 32 now, so it was like 6-7 years ago.
We're going to be married in December, 6 years. So.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Nice.
27 and 26. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I'm sorry, I'm going to add one more thing.
Please.
Shmily reminded me, he was saying about Prozac. Another huge green flag for me was he was open about the fact that he takes Prozac. I'm like, I do too. You can't go through all this craziness in life without it.
Yeah,
yes.
So true. I know so many people that take. And what's the problem? You should rather not take. Why? Just you're basically causing just a lot of drama. You know, just say you're taking. If she doesn't want you, that's not for you.
Exactly.
So just say what you need to say, and just be open.
It's like it's a deficiency in the brain, and if somebody was low on their calcium or their vitamin D, they wouldn't have shame. Oh, the doctor said it. It's same thing with serotonin.
Yeah,
same thing in your brain. You're not producing enough to feel that balance. There's a chemical imbalance. You didn't choose for it to happen.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. That's groundbreaking. I mean, there could be many people who just heard that, and for the first time, maybe, I hope it eliminated that shame.
Yeah.
It's some people, if someone needs glasses, right?
Yeah.
They're not going to say, oh, I'm not going to wear glasses. I have low prescription. I'm so ashamed.
True.
You did not choose for your eyesight to change.
And if you have a headache, you're going to take Tylenol. So just, what's the issue?
It's the healthiest decision you can make.
100%.
Exactly.
Listening to your body. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
So powerful. Bring on the medication.
I wouldn't be here without it.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Okay. Are we ready?
Yes.
Yep.
All right.
Let's do it.
Go for it. Who would like to start? Chapter 2.
I'll
the life of Shmily and Chaya.
I'll start.
Okay.
So Shmily had a gig in at a yeshiva, Shabbaton. that was located in Pennsylvania. And we decided, instead of Shmily traveling Motzei Shabbos, it was about 3 hours from Monsey, we'll take a hotel in the middle, about an hour's drive. So we were there for Shabbos, and Motzei Shabbos, Shmily begged me to come, and I said, I'm really tired. I think I'm going to make an early night. And I went to sleep, and now it's Shmily's turn.
So thank God the job went really well. Now you just go into the car, and basically I started driving back to the hotel. In the middle of the way, I was on the I-78. I felt like the car basically slowed down. So let's say I was on 65, it just went to slowly. It basically stopped. Like I pressed harder, but it didn't go anywhere. So when things like this happen, you use your brain, you make a quick decision. So it gave me like a few seconds to stop. So I was on the shoulder, fully on the shoulder, and my two back lights. That was the only thing that worked. So now I need to call AAA. While I was dialing, my friend, he's a musician, he called me in. We had an upcoming gig. And I told him before we start, I told him what happened. I'm here. And, if he could give me any guidance. So he knows some medical stuff. And he told me, climb in the car, go from the driver's seat to the passenger seat. And if I remember correctly, he told me to put on my seatbelts, which I did. And then we just schmoozed about their job. And then I put down with him, and I tried to Google the nearest auto shop that could come by. Mm-hmm. I called AAA, but they didn't pick up. So I called at a random. They basically told me they're going to be there in 20 minutes. Then they had a number to text. So I texted, and they said, we're going to be there another 15 minutes. And it ended up, they first came. He arrived after the accident happened. It was like an hour and a half, hour and 20 minutes.
Oh my goodness, that's so upsetting.
Yeah, and so basically what happened, I flew up from the impact. It was a tractor trailer. So from the impact, my car smashed, and I flew out of the window 50 feet. It was past a fence next to a stone. And when somebody, you hear stories, if you're meant to be alive, you're going to be alive. And past a few months later, when I came out of the hospital around 5 months later, it was a heavy and painful recovery. We went to the scene, actually, because there was a police officer which was on the scene. And there was actually also a nurse that basically, she has like a thingy that she stops when she sees an accident. She stops and tries to help out.
Wow.
So she was the one that found me. And she lives, I think, in Mississippi. That's a few hours away. And basically, we did basically a thank you event for them. So basically, she came to the Chabad house, and the police officer came. It was a very, nice reunion for them, for sure. Basically, when the police officer, when they saw me, they were basically, I think the police officer had a tear. He saw me back then, so and he basically said when he saw me, I was on agonal respiration. That basically means before somebody passes. And he didn't give me much time. He said, I gave you like a half hour just to, And when he gave me hope is basically when he helped me put me on the ambulance, I basically tied my hands. And I basically gave like a kick like this. He said, this guy might make it. He's a fighter. So yes, I am a fighter, and that's why part of that I'm here for the. So Yeah, it was a long journey.
And I can't begin to imagine. I mean, projecting out of your seat when you're seatbelted 50 feet away.
Yeah.
What were your injuries from that?
So I had a lot of injuries, and I still suffer a bit compared to then. So basically, when they found me, they had to call a company. They had to do the whole thing. The police officer said took like a half hour. They had to call down a team to basically cut open the gate because there's certain laws. Basically, they're not allowed to touch me. They don't know what happened to me. So let's say, so for me, it was when they found me, I didn't have much blood left. I had a cracked spine, and so I had a spine. I had a lot of surgeries, which I don't even know. But I was in an induced coma for 2 weeks. I don't remember anything. It was in Reading, Pennsylvania hospital. And I woke up first here in New York City, Colel, which is another part I need to mention to get me out of that hospital because they wanted to do the spine surgery over there because for them, it's a big thing. They can learn on someone, you know? So I think my wife got involved with Chaya Medical. And
you don't want anyone to learn on you.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
Right. I was basically messed up from all sides. You know, I had a lot of surgeries. I had a laceration, which the doctor that did the surgery for that said basically was almost like something like basically touched the liver. Basically, if it would be touching you, I would be gone. Oof. So we had to fight with them basically to let me out. They didn't want. No, we have to do the surgery because if we let him out, he might not make it. So Chaya Medical really got involved, and we were in touch with her name is Rivka Spry, and she was fabulous. And like even like surgeries that I had later, like once I came home from the hospital, she was involved, and she absolutely incredible. So Chaya Medical really got involved, and basically they got me out from there. So they needed a helicopter to get me here. So that was a different parsha. So they got me to Colel. And from Colel, they were like for every surgery you went through them, they knew which doctor to use, and they were absolutely incredible. Yeah, so it was a long recovery, and thank God that I'm here, and you know, and that I can share it with you.
It sounds like it's a miracle that you made it.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
100%. And I just look at the world way differently, and I appreciate life way more. And when it's an interesting thing, but when people complain, it's like I look at them like, for this you're complaining. But, you know, I just tell people, like, I was up there already. I just saw my grandmother and grandfather fighting, so I just came back. You know, so it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's a choice that you chose to make, and a near-death experience transforms a person's entire life into highlighting what's important, what isn't important, and you know, I always think like Hashem, inspire me through bracha. Like inspire me to do good because I'm so happy and I'm so grateful. Don't inspire me because I'm in pain or I'm broken. And it's you definitely have a greater quality of life than someone who has never experienced any tragedy 100%. Or pain because of what you've been through.
Right.
Yeah.
But another part, which I want to tell people, like a lot of people struggling, suffering, even people called me, like, talk to my father, he went through a crazy accident, he's like 60 already, he's giving up already, or this or that. Never give up. You know, I'll say this, basically I had several surgeries, and like the past year I just went on singing, and the last one that I had was one before. Basically, I basically sang whatever song it was, and the nurse that basically took me into the room basically said, like, I like that attitude. In that, if you do it with a smile, you know, and that's what I told the nurse. Listen, you're gonna take me in there. You could do whatever you want, right? I'm gonna be sleeping. I can either smile or be sad. I'm choosing to be happy, you know. And that basically, it helps the recovery. Yeah.
If you do that while going into surgery, how much more so should someone do that if they're having a tough Monday
100%.
or a tough Tuesday?
Sure.
And you feel like it directly impacted your recovery.
Sure.
Just maintaining that simcha,
Sure.
pushing for that. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And I'm just thinking like how terrifying it must have been for you during this whole process.
So I'm going to go back to Matzah Shabbos. I went to sleep. I woke up at 2:00. My baby we had a baby together, and in addition to my son, and he was 7 months old at the time, and I woke up at 2:00 to feed him, and usually I would look at my phone, and thank you Hashem, I did not. And he was so nice and didn't call me because he knew there was no way, there's nothing for me to do. I was stuck in a hotel. He was like, and the next morning I wake up, 2:00, I noticed he wasn't there. But I said, okay, so we had a gig. He's Matzah Shabbos with the boys. We've had that before. Like, it's not a big deal. And the next morning, 8:00, I look at the text and I see he sent me a text 12 something. I'm on my way. And I knew it was only an hour's drive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 8:00 in the morning and he's still not here. I guess my positive, grateful thinking that got me along on my journey kicked in. And instead of thinking the worst, I literally was like, no, he's probably locked out. He's probably stuck in the lobby. He's probably like all that. And then my phone rang and my mother's on the line. And it's a Sunday, 8:00 in the morning. Why would my mother be calling? And she says, is Shmily in the room with you? And I'm like, yeah, he's supposed to be. Like, I still wasn't, fully in reality. She's like, no, is he in the room? I'm like, no, because I got a call from the police because the car was still registered in my mother's name because I had it when I was single. And they said my car was in an accident.
So scary.
And they're trying to piece together. They had the car, but he was like John Doe for a while. Like, they had no idea. So reality is slowly sinking in. My mother is like straight shooter. Did you try him? Yes. It went to voicemail. Okay, so he's unconscious. I'm like, give me a minute. And I just went straight into survival mode and called the hospitals. I figured he was at a trauma hospital. So I Googled and it said the closest hospital is Reddings, Pennsylvania.
So scary, like calling the hospitals to try to find your husband. So scary.
I don't think I even felt fear then. It was later. Then I was just adrenaline.
Right.
Yeah. I even remember I had a therapy session. I called my therapist. I'm like, I need a session now. What did I do with my baby? I don't know, but I just remember sitting at the hotel room and having a session with her.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my mother called his brother and sister because nobody knew. And they went straight to Reddings Hospital. I forgot. I got on the phone with the nurse and she's like, let me forward you to the doctor. Your husband's in the ICU. And I'm like, and the doctor gets on the phone and he says, your husband's a walking miracle. We saved him last night.
Wow. So I feel like I'm supposed to say a Hebrew quote like Hodu Lashem Ki Tov or something.
100%.
Unbelievable. Chazeh Hashem. If you've ever wanted something more than anything in the world, then you've probably tried a segula or two. And if you're anything like me, then you've been dejected and disappointed when it seems like it didn't work. And that's why I love this organization called Better Than a Segula. Like their name, we learn on Simchas Torah Ein Segula Ketorah. There is no better Segula than Torah study. What this organization does is they have a group of Torah scholars that will learn something on your behalf in the zechus of what you want. And even better, the entire process is personalized. They can study a certain daf in the Gemara for 40 days, whatever you want, whatever speaks to your heart, whatever you connect to, you can let them know. So if this is something that you would find supportive, inspiring, and encouraging, you can contact them by either clicking the show notes below or take out your phone and call them at 732-364-7029. That's betterthanasegula.org, Better Than a Segula, an organization that's there to support you in the way that they know how to and in the way that they can. And I know that when we spoke, you shared that there was a whole process of navigating life after the accident. And I wanted to know, Shmily, if you could share a bit about what some of the side effects were in recovery, and then if we could hear how the two of you navigated that together.
Right. So, as said before, it was a painful recovery. Now, basically, I was like, okay, now I'm back to life. I always kept on saying, okay, now I think I like back, back like before the accident. But I realized that my brain works differently. Now, as said before, from every situation, you got to take out the positive, right? And I told it to my wife that naturally, I'm a very closed up person, very shy person, I would never be able to confront somebody about something or just say what I need to say. That's by nature. That's me. That's how I was as a kid, And after the accident, traumatic brain injury sometimes basically takes your mind and shifts it. Because there was some internal bleeding or whatever it is, it basically made that it should work differently. Now, I do understand how different my brain works, but I cannot always prevent it. For example, I could go to the grocery store and just sing loudly, and
the guys know him there.
Yeah, so I just sing for them. I go to the hive and I just sing for
like you have no perception of how loud you're being or
right.
That you're doing
and it's basically in a way, that part is, for me, it's amazing. I always wanted to be that, just to say whatever I want to sing, no shame, and so that's the good part. Now I'm gonna say it, the other parts, which are not the greatest.
I love that. I love your choice of words. The other parts, which aren't the greatest,
right?
Not the good and the bad.
Exactly.
There's like the really great, and then there's the parts that aren't as great.
True, because nothing is bad, right? We don't see the big picture. So, for example, we got married. I had an awesome connection with our kid, shared, and after the accident, it was really difficult for me when he made noise or he acted out to really be there for him and say, why are you acting like this? I would be like, Sha, can you just move away, or just, and I felt bad afterwards. Why did I have to do that? And that's a part which I worked on with my therapist. And we can make a different podcast just how important therapists are.
Hence me going into that field
yeah.
and being in school.
Welcome to the team, sister.
Yeah, so it really, he really helped me. He gave me the tools how to navigate it. And it was still difficult.
Yeah.
Things don't change out of the blue, And I think it got really a lot better, but it's still it's way more painful for my wife to see that than for me to just act that way.
And
Right.
it's so difficult because you see that you're doing it and you know that you're doing it, but it's not what you want to do.
Exactly.
And
It's not
who you
me.
are.
Right.
It's like this impulsive
True.
reaction.
Yeah.
And so I want to pause you here and I want to turn to you, Chaya. How does that affect, clearly the two of you are such a strong, beautiful unit.
Yeah. Thank you.
Most people would be reactive, defensive, angry, annoyed.
Right.
How did you navigate learning how to accept and respond to this new version of Shmily without blame and without shame?
So I learned that two feelings can coexist. There can be the frustration, the anger, and then there could also be the gratitude that he's here. And it's not a contradiction. We can feel both. But I definitely felt like Hashem gave it to us as a couple. And I always say that if I would be in his shoes, I would just get under the covers and would not get up so fast.
Wow.
In fact, I had to call his voice teacher, Purim, after the accident. He was just about coming home then because he booked himself 2 gigs. He was going to sing with his spine protector thingy. With everything going on, he was going to sing. And I had to slow him down. So, yeah. Incredible fighter and inspires me. At the same time, it's really, really difficult. And without my therapy and our couples therapist, yeah, I don't think we would be able to survive. The interesting part is that even though we had surgeries again, like now we moved, and right before we moved, he needed another surgery. And it was hell. I moved on my own while he was at the hospital. And I just remember thinking to myself, wow, Hashem prepared me, my journey, like being alone, being on my own, all that kind of led up to this, because otherwise I don't think I would be able to survive this, and then even with the accident, being with my kids, myself, and then slowly dealing. And then, now when the other surgeries come up, it's like, oh, I know what to do. This is what's going to happen,
Well, I'm adding some to the equation. There should be no more surgeries. But
Amen.
if there are things that come up,
Yes.
that come up, you have my number and you call me so that you don't need to be alone.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That's really sweet. So it just made my resolve to go to social work. I had my bachelor's, and Shmily encouraged me very much when we got married. Like, go for it. And I started off at RCC and then continued the TTI, and I finished my bachelor's. And the accident happened in between. And I was just like, Hashem is putting me in those situations. Clearly, I'm meant to be in this field. I'm learning so much more. Like it just was so obvious to me. At the same time, I just wanted to explain the traumatic brain injury so people can understand. I remember after about a year is when we kind of discovered what was going on. He fell on his forehead. He still has a scar, I think. And that's the frontal lobe, the prefrontal cortex, which as therapists we know that's the filter of the human being. And so sometimes the filter could be broken. And sometimes it could be funny, like walking in the store and he just, is singing out loud. And I just have to be like, this has nothing to do with me. I'm okay, And then sometimes it could be relationally, and it could be so, so tough because the amazing part of Shmily is no matter what, he's always able to listen, to what it is that I need. And sometimes it's offline and I have to, say, we have to wait like this. You're totally not here. And I feel terrible because it's not because he wants to. And so even worse than the surgeries is that when the surgeries happen, if his body is trying to survive, he just automatically regresses. So that really is the toughest part. And I just want to say, man, plans and God laughs. Here I was so worried about the fact that I wouldn't be able to have a lot of kids, right? Because I knew that I would have to be doing treatment. Yeah, we have a lot going on. We don't have to worry about that. And that's also like another reason that Hashem just set it up, in this way that, people my age are busy having baby after baby, and that's not what I'm meant to do here.
It's a competition.
Clearly.
For some.
Yeah.
So I really want to give it up to my wife again, because now that I could think, whatever she went through, it was, for me, it's more difficult than all my pain that I went through, because we purchased our new home then, and here a month later, this guy is gone. I need to take care of all this craziness, and the way how God made it. Now we moved again to a different neighborhood, like right before we need to move. The same thing is in the hospital. So, and I just looked it up online, and I'm on a Facebook group also for like people with TBI. The majority, I don't know if the majority, but a huge percent of people like with like dramatic brain injury, they basically get divorced.
Really?
Yeah. And it's interesting. I don't know the ages or like.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
The person changes and the spouse says, this isn't who I chose.
But that shows another thing of an amazing person. So that's another reason I would love that she should become a therapist. She's going to be a good one.
The best one out there.
Oh, yeah. Because in my opinion, a real good therapist had to go through something in life in order to prove that they're a good therapist. Just reading it from the books, you could pass, but it's not going to be the same. So everybody is going through something on different levels, right? But I think my wife, I'm encouraging her, just go for it.
Yeah.
I believe in her.
Yeah. And so it's fascinating because anyone who's experiencing any sort of marital conflict or interpersonal conflict, something that I hear from your story is that you shouldn't personalize the conflict.
Right.
Because that deters you from the goal, which is we want harmony. So it takes a lot of humility to say, okay, there's this argument, right, and instead of being reactive, I'm going to be proactive. And here you have every incentive to be reactive because of TBI. Right. And you, like you said, Zipporah, I'm not going to pretend to not be human. It coexists. So I'll feel hurt. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you said that. But I'll also remind myself, this isn't my husband. I shouldn't personalize it. Let me look at the big picture. Right. Let me focus on the big picture. And I would imagine probably a lot of gratitude. Like, my husband's alive. Yeah. My husband adores me. I hope it's okay if I say that.
Sure.
It's like really what happens is when we experience something so emotional, right, it clouds our judgment. Yeah. So we forget what's important. We forget the facts. And you're saying I constantly need to remind myself the facts when my emotions try to distract me and create a different narrative. Right. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes. And letting go of the small things. Like, so what if, I don't know, we just had a photo shoot and we had a misunderstanding and Shmily got very upset and we couldn't end up having family pictures. Okay. Just happens.
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
We need like a part 2 and a part 3, and I keep, nobody knows this, but we keep pushing off the next
Right.
few meetings. What would you say? There's so much you shared, so much that you shared. What would you say you want your takeaway to be? Maybe you shared it already, maybe you didn't. As we close off the episode, I'll ask you, Chaya, and then I'll ask you, Shmily.
Right. First, I'm thinking, I remembered, shout out to Bina, which is another phenomenal organization. They deal with brain injuries. And just if anyone out there, is struggling with a spouse or a family member with a traumatic brain injury, but it's not severe enough, right? Like that's what happens. That it's like, it's a traumatic brain injury, but he's functioning. A lot of people don't function. So if anyone feels like they can relate, feel free to reach out.
So first of all, I got to give it up to my wife again. You got to give it up when credit is due, right?
Yeah.
And I would like to just thank my voice teacher, which was dear for me all these years. When I started, I wasn't even married yet. First marriage. And he guided me and told me, like, go into business, do that. And he's just fantastic. And he actually, after my accident, I couldn't, like, make any sounds. And he took me to the doctor in Manhattan, and he basically figured out a way with the doctor how to bring it out. And it's better than before. So thank you so much.
Wow.
And yes, just, I think the part...
Check out his single.
Oh, absolutely. You bet I will. I mean,
like,
we all will.
Yeah, thank you.
That his teacher helped him create. It's beautiful.
How do we find it?
So it's called Moide Ani. So it's basically, it really meant a lot to me. And it's basically just gratitude to Hashem. It's not basically, I wasn't looking like for more fame out of it. It was just like, thank you, Hashem, that I'm here and I'm alive and
Beautiful.
I'm just going on.
Where can we find it?
On YouTube.
Just and Moide Ani and
Shmily Morgenstern.
That's what it's under.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm actually going to switch my question in the last minute that we have.
Sure.
Where do the two of you find strength when you feel like giving up? There's so many parts of your story where when you got divorced, when you found out you had this diagnosis, when you were recovering from being sick, when you're having a moment of strife, of personal distress, where do you find the strength to keep going when you felt like giving up?
Hashem, really having that deep relationship of knowing he's my father and he's not out to get me. Having to find him again differently than I was raised, right? Because I was raised with, he's out to get you. And instead, he made this perfect, beautiful life for you. And as hard as it is, he's going to help you through it. And to leave it up to him. And therapy.
It's a good combo.
Yeah, so true. Just talking to Hashem, that's, and I'll just go back, like after the accident, my wife told me, like, you're not upset at Hashem, God forbid, that he made this accident happen, why didn't he, like, even myself, I thought, like, afterwards, she says something, I have a few people that just rather give it to them, God forbid, than why I never did anything wrong, which I think, just what do you want from me now? Yeah. But we don't see the overall picture, and we, and just talk to God. And like after therapy, I had to go into the hospital before Yantiv, and I was like really frustrated. And because I worked through this part, I was really upset at Hashem, and basically I just spoke to Hashem, why are you doing this to me? Why are you so bad? And afterwards, once I felt better, I said, I'm sorry, Hashem, that I spoke to you this way. So you're allowed to have a connection, and it's not people think I'm not allowed to have questions at Hashem and this. Why not? It's just, if you're upset or this, talk to God. He's your father, and he listens to you, and he wants you to listen. He wants you to talk to him.
And it's healthy to be angry, because that means we have a relationship.
True.
So really, you didn't need to apologize.
So powerful. So powerful. I feel like I've learned so much from you. There's another part of my brain that's like, I want to become Hasidic. What do I do?
Well, depends what Hasidic is, because just for a joke, I tell people, "Are you Jewish or Hasidic?" But we're not talking about that Hasidic. A real Hasid, what it really means. Yeah, I agree.
The two of you are just very inspiring.
Thank you so much.
There's so much to learn from the two of you.
Thank you. Honored to be here.
Thanks for having us.
I'm so grateful. You should continue to have so much health and feel so much joy and blessing, and have that clarity that you shared with us, that gives you strength through the challenge. And you've just changed my life. I'm very grateful. Thank you so much for coming here.
Thank you.
Wow. I know. They're so special. I'm so grateful. Thank you, Chaya and Shmily, for being so brave and sharing your story without holding anything back. We thank you for your service, and we've learned so much from you. If you want to send a message to Chaya and Shmily, they've so graciously shared their contact information in the show notes below. So click the link and you can find their contact information there. If there's anything you want me to know, then you know what to do. You can email me at soh@meaningfulminute.org. If you want to leave a message for Chaya and Shmily, please feel free to do so in the comments section below. It means the world to them, and it means the world to me. So thank you for coming back. Thank you so much for coming back to my podcast, to our podcast that we work so hard to produce special for you. And as always, if there's something more you want to see, or if there's something else you want to say, I would love to hear it at soh@meaningfulminute.org. If you love what you see and you want to see more, then check us out at www.soh.plus. We welcome you with open arms. Thank you for being here and being a part of our special community at Stories of Hope.